Hi, Artful card makers. My name is Joanne Sharpe. I am an artist and an instructor from upstate New York. I have been teaching art for many, many years from K through 12, and currently I'm teaching mostly adult students all over the country at various art retreats, as well as teaching several online classes that you can access from my blog. But for this workshop, we're going to focus on artful card making with Strathmore products. I encourage my students to use the visual journals with watercolor paper, mixed media, the Bristol. They're all wonderful. Those are my favorites. And for this class, I am going to be focusing on using the watercolor cards. I'm going to be sharing with you some whimsical, fun, colorful techniques on making mini masterpieces on your cards with watercolor and markers and pens. And we're also going to focus quite a bit on lettering. So lots of color, marker, paint, and fun. There'll be several videos with different techniques. I will be talking about everyday cards as well as some holiday cards because the holidays are right around the corner. So I've got some ideas on how to create some cards with this little watercolor set from Strathmore. I hope you're as excited as I am, so gather up your supplies, your markers, your pens, your watercolors, your brushes, and I'll be right back with lesson 1. Hi there, Artful card makers. This is Joanne Sharpe. Welcome to week 1, and this is my lesson 1. This is called Art on Cards. So we're going to get out our wonderful Strathmore watercolor cards, and we are going to create some fun art on these cards with just simple drawings, simple doodles, and some watercolor. So let's get started. So this card is a little bit more abstract. I've done just a playful, just a little wash. I'll show you how to do that. And this card, Art on Cards, is just a doodle. So the nice thing about these cards is that you can keep them on your desk in your art area, ready to go whenever you're feeling inspired. Keep them handy so they're easy to access. So you have the need for a card, and here you have all this art already made. I'm going to demonstrate on the paper from my watercolor visual journal. I love my visual journal. When I teach, I use this just about in all of my classes. So if you're a little nervous about going right to the card, you can practice in your visual journal. I'm going to show you the techniques on just a piece of paper out of the visual journal. I've just torn out some pages, and I will demonstrate the technique on the paper, which is the visual journal, which is the same paper that's in the Strathmore watercolor cards, which we're using for this workshop. So in this card, I have just a very organic wash, and I'm just taking my little water brush. I have my koi watercolors, so I'm just going to use my koi paints, and you see I'm just kind of dipping in the paint, and now with my water brush, I'm just going to pull the color off to the right. I'm going to squeeze a little bit more water, and I'm going to let the color migrate into the water. With my water brush, I can press down hard. I can get a really thick line. I can hold my brush completely perpendicular to the page, and I can get this really thin line. So you're using a round brush or a water brush to do this technique. So all I'm doing is just taking my watercolor and I'm just pulling a very organic line across the page, just to create an interesting background that I can use for text. Tapping in some color, putting the color down on the page, and just pulling it off to the right. And this is a simple background for a card. Just very organic technique to add some interest to this watercolor card. So you see I'm just pulling that color around in puddles of water. And that's my style of art, is just very organic, very loose. A lot of color play, a lot of line, and I've always just painted just very organically, very, very loose. That's just my signature style, and I'm sure you're finding your own style as you go as well. And I'm just going to add some more color, squeezing out lots of water. See how that's that puddled? And just pull that paint right through the water. So there you have a background. Take your paper and just kind of move it around. Let those puddles of paint kind of move into the shapes that you've created. But in the meantime, all I did was I just did a little doodle flower here. Just gave it a little stem, just wrote thanks across, and there's a card. Just do some colored backgrounds, and then you can put your black on later, and you needed a thank you card, so you add the word thanks. Now the second technique in art on cards is just a doodle. Everybody knows how to doodle. Everybody's doodling these days. And all you want to do is you just want to take one of your permanent black pens, such as your Micron or your Faber-Castell Pitt pen. These are my favorite, your Zig pen, just something with a fine point. So on your desk, you just feel like doodling. So all you're going to do is you're just going to start doodling right on that card. Don't be afraid. Go right on the card. Because you know what? This is authentic. This is real. This is you. This is your art. And what could be more authentic than your art? And see, I just kind of swoop down. I do a little curl. This is an upside down letter U. These are the letter W, 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 W. There's my little petals. Here's my W. I love to frame the shape. So I'm just going to take no ruler again. I'm just doing this little loose line around the card. Now you see, I've got some wider spaces, and that's okay, because what I'll do to kind of even it out, see how this is wider than this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull that line, see how I just kind of even it out, and it's artsy. So this is Artful cards. You're sending your artwork as on a card. So these are little mini masterpieces that you just make from your heart. So and then I just pull another little swirl. Just think of the letter J. Here's the letter J. Okay, here's the letter J. That's my swirl. And if I want to make another letter J, I'm going to make a backwards letter J, number 6. It looks like a number 6. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to make a letter J. So you see how I'm just starting to add these little swirls and curls, and here is my card. Then I just go right in with my water brush, and I just add color wherever I'm inspired. Here's my little stems. So you're just doing a doodle on a card, and then you're just filling it in very loosely, creating really fun background. This week, what you want to do is just get your card fronts made with lots of fun artwork and lots of backgrounds. So we've got some doodle cards. I'm just going to continue this, and you'll end up having this gorgeous art on card, and it'll be all set for lettering. So I'll see you next time for week 1, lesson 2.